Hello and welcome to another episode of Lights, Camera, Chaos. And you will see that this is a slightly different format than normal because I have invited a great guy, Michael Dodd, as my guest. And yep, say hello to the folks, Michael.
Hello, Dexter. Hello, audience.
And what we're going to talk about today is an experience that Michael had when he was an interviewer, a presenter, a person that was very prominent on the Australian Broadcasting Corporation. And he's going to tell us a story. He's going to lift the curtain on somebody that we know and love and tell a couple of stories about him, or should it be her? Over to you, Michael, or should I say good day?
G'day. You must say g'day. I make a point, actually, when I do appear on the media over here, where I sometimes have been introduced as the Australian journalist. There are others are available, and I'm now a recovering journalist who works as a media trainer. But when I'm on, they kind of expect me to be a bit Australian, to live up to the title of Australian journalist. And starting with a g'day always works.
Right. And
Carry
now,
on.
having said that, of course, you are an author.
Mm.
Um, Tell us about the book. Ah,
Yeah, the book. The book is called Great Answers to Tough Questions at Work. It comes from my background as a journalist, where I was trained by the Australian Broadcasting Corporation to ask what are known in the world of Australian journalism as blowtorch on the belly questions.
mm.
That's a technical term, but it basically refers to those questions where if you know you're going to be interviewed the next day and you wake up in a cold sweat at 3 o'clock in the morning and you think, my God, I hope they don't ask me that. That is typically a blowtorch on the belly question.
And it's
And
always the question that they're going to ask you, isn't it?
well, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And don't be fooled by some researcher who says, oh, well, they won't ask you about that because that only encourages them.
So I think what we can do on another occasion is look at that golden process you have. But let's take you back to the Australian Broadcasting Corporation and this person who you will now reveal in terms of the conversation you had. Let's lift the curtain on this particular person. Who is it?
So this person is known to British people as Dame Edna Everage.
Ah,
Unfortunately, very sadly, no longer with us. But when you really do look behind the curtain, and I wouldn't look too closely personally, you actually can probably just about figure that Dame Edna Everage is played by someone called Barry Humphries, a
yes.
very accomplished actor and creator of characters. And when I started working on as a trainee at the Australian Broadcasting Corporation in Sydney, I used to work on the national programs, but we also had a Sydney program which was called City Extra. And it was run by the front person was someone called Caroline Jones, alas, still no longer with us either.
Mm.
Wonderful compere, who was very nice to trainees, actually. But one of the times when I was on Caroline's shift working for her, an interviewee turned up who was Barry Humphries. But the audience would hardly be aware of that because Barry Humphries turned up in his Barry Humphries civilian clothes.
Ah,
But he was always, when he was interviewed by Caroline, would perform as Dame Edna. So if you were in the control room, like I was as a trainee watching this, there was just this bloke, not even wearing a dress, just a normal, regular bloke like Barry Humphries, but he would be talking as if he was so fabulously glamorous. And Caroline would be interviewing him as if he looked absolutely marvelous in his latest frock, as he used to call them, with the amazing different variations of sunglasses that she used to wear. And
yes.
so we had this kind of behind the scenes chaos moment where the listeners would think, because we didn't have webcams back in those days inside the studio revealing all behind the kimono. Um, and so to the listeners, this was wonderful. Caroline Jones had Dame Edna there talking in her own intimate way, as she did used to, about, oh, we know, Caroline, that you're loved by all these people or whatever, and then using her waspish sense of humor to basically diss rival celebrities by saying the most dastardly things about them, some of which may have even been true.
Yeah.
But it was all a kind of fakery before our eyes, because we could see it was just Barry talking to Caroline, but the audience would have this picture of the lovely, glamorous housewife superstar Dame Edna Everage being there with her hair just made up, wearing this wonderful dress and the sparkling personality, and all were fooled except us in the control room, and we knew what it really was.
Brilliant. Michael, thank you so much. I mean, it's fascinating stories. That obviously there's much more that we can talk about, but time marches on. So thank you for the insight into Dame Edna, if I can pronounce it right, Barry Humphries, and of course he had another alter ego, didn't he?
So Les Patterson was still on his day. Very amusing, has to be said.
Very great character. So once again, thank you, Michael. It's a fascinating look behind the scenes of your situation when you were at the Australian Broadcasting Corporation. So thank you very much for joining us for this episode. I look forward to chatting to you again about those other experiences that you've had, and to know that golden process to answer the question when those difficult questions are asked. So once again, thank you, mate. So that's a wrap on this episode of Lights, Camera, Chaos. If you enjoyed the ride, hit subscribe, share it with a friend, and join me next time for more stories where the real world collides with the real world. Until then, keep the lights bright, the cameras rolling, and embrace the chaos.